Hey, what's up? I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video, and in fact the last video of the year, which also means year in review. I've been doing this for the last 4 years now. I think every end of the year I make this video, talk about how it was for Orangepixel and me, and I'll talk about the numbers because I know a lot of people come for the numbers. So I think we're gonna start with the numbers, but after that I'll give you some more information on those numbers, but also just talk about how this year was, because it's been a very interesting year for me personally. So let's do the intro and then let's talk about numbers. For those that are new to the channel, let me first explain this simple thing. For me, my goal every year with Orangepixel is to make about 50,000 euros. That's a good, comfortable amount of money to live from in the Netherlands and Europe. It will vary depending on where you are. And of course, everything above 50k is fine, but that also means I just pay a lot more taxes. And it's maybe not worth it to work extra on that for the tax company and the rest of the country. Sorry, but you get the point. And the lowest amount is probably around 30,000, which is on the low end, but still manageable. So anywhere between that would be perfect. Let's first dive into the pie chart. And I'll throw this pie chart onto the screen so that you actually know what I'm talking about. This is pretty much the total of revenue I've been making this year, without actually mentioning the exact numbers, because this year there is a large portion that you can see in the pie chart that's funding. This covered a lot of my cost of development for the whole year, but I can't disclose the amount, obviously. So it's going to be hard naming numbers, but there's some interesting stuff here in the pie chart that we can talk about. So let's dive into the pie chart while I get comfortable and look at the pie chart. Okay, so a couple of things here. I split up mobile and other mobile. Usually I combine those two in one, but I figured it was interesting to show that other mobile for me is third-party markets, Android markets that aren't Google Play. Yeah, those are still very interesting for me to release my games on. I get a lot of questions about these markets. They're closed and walled off markets. You just can't enter them without knowing the right person. So it's hard to get in there, and it only works if you have a lot of games, obviously. So yeah, it's still a great big portion for me to get my revenue from that. Mobile has been good as well. Side note, I have not released a game since 2019, or a new game. Residual was the last release in September 2019. Talked about that a few videos ago. So all the revenue you see here, except for the funding part, is pretty much long tail of my games from the last decade or so. Still making money on platforms. Also, an interesting thing to notice here is that the Atari VCS, like a very tiny Kickstarter type console, has a bigger pie slice than the Switch, which is very easy to explain. On the Atari we released 4 new titles this year, on the Switch only 1. So the Switch, most of that portion is discounts and sales on existing games and only 1 new release, while the Atari is mostly the new releases, but doesn't have a long tail, I'm pretty sure, because it has a very tiny niche market. So these games eventually stop selling on the Atari. We know that it's not a large market, so there's just simply, once you covered like 200, maybe 300-400 sales, you pretty much covered everybody that's still using their Atari VCS. That's just a ballpark estimate from my side. Then we get to the PC pie slice. Yeah, it's tiny. It's too small actually to be comfortable for me to completely ditch mobile. I wanted this to be the other way around. Mobile smaller, PC bigger. Haven't released a game, so this is all again discounts and sales on my titles on PC. Just haven't been able to crank up those numbers. Some of the titles I have been putting on discount have been doing very well. Like Residual, it was below 10 reviews just a few months ago. We're now sitting at 20, mostly positive reviews on Steam, which is a good sign. So sales are still happening, just not as much as I'd like to, or compared to all my other sources of revenue. Then we have the other part, which is just miscellaneous stuff. There's even Gunslugs Mega Drive in there. Yeah, Gunslugs got ported to Mega Drive, and there's a tiny amount of money coming from that. But also still some revenue coming from PS Vita version, like 6-7 years ago when Gunslugs and Heroes of Loot got released on the PS Vita. There's still some money coming in from that. So that's other. It's just a mixed bag of things happening. And yeah, YouTube is also in other, I think. Although YouTube, my audience has been growing and the money and revenue has been growing, I haven't had any sponsorship deals. So YouTube money has been pretty much gone. And then we have the funding portion, which is Regulator City. Found funding for that in February, I think, January, February, pretty early in the year, which is a good thing because then at that point the game was already in development for a year and I had to either release it as it was, which was pretty crap to release in that state, or find funding so that I could continue development. Luckily, I found funding and I continued development, and I'm still continuing it. The game has come a long way. I talked about it last week, so check out last week's video for that. It's going to be released in 2024, and funding really helped me through this year pretty much. Although in total, I can tell you that this is more than my bottom line. So yeah, it's been a good year financially. Now let's talk about all the other stuff. So if you were just here for the numbers, see you next year maybe. Now let's talk about some other stuff. So first of all, let's talk about game releases. Haven't released a new game as mentioned, nothing new, but we did do 4 ports to the Atari VCS. We released 1 game on the Nintendo Switch. Oh yeah, I also dropped Sir Questionnaire on Steam, but it was already on itch.io, so most people already had it that wanted it. It did a couple of sales, didn't really do any press around it because I knew this game, it wasn't interesting enough for that audience, but I just want it on all platforms so that it's still gonna be making little amounts of money here and there for the coming years. So game releases, not a lot, but Regulator City, the project I've been working on, has been going through a good amount of improvements and is really getting close to something releasable in a couple of months from now, or at least in 2024. Gauntlet of Power started that project early on the year, April, and it's almost done. Right now I have a build that's pretty much being tested to make sure the balance is right, and I'm tweaking the balancing of things, but content wise it should be ready for a early access release or a first version release, whatever I'm gonna do. And I'll have a couple of months to tweak things here and there, but it's not gonna be taking up a lot of my time because it's just gonna be like maybe a week of work here and there, maybe a day in between other stuff. And other stuff is Regulated City obviously, but also a new Space Grunts. And little secret here, already been working on that game for 2 weeks now. I got a bunch of stuff and the core stuff already up and running. I'll be talking about that next week probably, and actually showing you stuff. So that's going to be fun and interesting. And Space Grunts, my aim is to have something like a playable demo ready in March maybe, and then have a Steam page up and running so that it can also start gathering wishlist. And depending on how that goes, it might release end of the year or maybe 2025. We'll see. By that time I'll probably work on the next smaller game, because that's pretty much going to be my goal. And not small in the terms of content, but more smaller in the terms of development. I just want to be clear on what I'm creating and know how to create it and get it up and running as quickly as possible. Not focus on how nice and neat the code is written. Get it up and running. If it works, ship it. That's pretty much going to be the thing I'm aiming for. And luckily I have a lot of experience for that. So let's hope that all works out, because now we're going to get into the tough stuff of this year. Let's dive into some of the other stuff outside of game creation. Right, the rest of the year has been full of ups and downs. Game development has been pretty great actually, and it has been my relief and my refuge to go to whenever the rough stuff happened. Of course, regular viewers might remember the video I made somewhere in January, January 21st, around that date, as well, the death of my mom, which pretty much started our year in a different kind of way. It also meant a lot of trips back and forth to my parents' place, or now my dad's place, who lives about 3 hours away from us. So it's it's not something you do in a single day, or at least we don't do that in a single day anymore. So it's been there. So it's been a lot of driving there, staying there for a couple of days, then coming back and trying to get back into the groove of working on games and having all the other stuff happening in your head. That's been stressful. It's been tiring. Then of course Aline, my wife, closed her store, her physical store, to continue online. This was a plan we already had and we're working towards, but it now happened because the storage boxes were finally ready. So we had to move like 20,000 products. Just picture like 20,000 cans of paint or whatever. It's been a lot of products, a lot of boxes, a lot of evenings and early mornings just packing up stuff, putting it in the car, driving into the storage box. It's been exhausting and tiring those couple of weeks, and then setting up the storage box, and then of course in between all those things getting back into the groove of working on my games, and that's exhausting again. Then we had some more stuff happening. We had a vacation, which is of course pretty cool to have a vacation, but after a vacation you have to get back in the rhythm of things, back in the groove of things. We had my dad come visit, and that also been different. And then we also started to notice that my dad was becoming more and more forgetful. I mean, he's 76. It happens at certain ages. It can happen, and it's becoming a little bit of an issue now. So the coming months for 2024 will be trying to figure out what to do with that, and if the doctor can help and knows what path to take, because it's going to be hard for him to keep living in a huge house like he is now, all alone. Of course, he's also still struggling with my mom not being there anymore. I can only imagine that they've been together for 60 years. He doesn't know better than that she's there. His whole life she was there pretty much, and now you're on your own and starting to forget things, and it's been a struggle for him, but also mentally draining for me. Finally, we also had my brother had some stuff that he needed help with, so we helped him with that as well. Took another couple of weeks here and there, and then getting back into the groove of my work, and then it pretty much all hit me. It just became too much. So October, November, I was slightly depressed, also almost, or maybe almost at the point of being depressed. I just wasn't really happy at all. Still right now it's a lot better, so don't worry, I'm fine right now. There's still some things like I'm listening to music and singing along, which I usually do when I'm working. I haven't been doing that for months. I still have the radio on, it's just there, it's background noise, but I'm not playing my own music and singing along with it. For some reason that's still a weird barrier. That's really weird, but I find that very hard. But the working on games and tinkering with games, that really helped me get through these things. So the positive thing of that is that I am still aware and reminded that the fact that creating games, building games, that's really my passion. It's really what makes me happy. It's really what makes me calm inside and all those things. So yeah, creating games is the thing I really want to keep doing. And for that, I'm gonna have to make sure I release a lot of games next year. So that's why I've been really focusing on that. Been trying to also put away other people's problems a little bit more. They're not my problem. I like to help, and I like to help out where I can, but pushing things aside here and there is what I've been practicing pretty much. That also meant social media. I have been posting almost nothing to Instagram. I dumped TikTok. I'm not using it anymore. And I know TikTok is the place to be, and I still watch other people's videos, but it's not for me to promote and market there. I just don't have the energy and time to keep pushing videos there. And people always keep telling you that you should push as much to TikTok or Instagram as you can, because at some point it can be picked up. And yeah, you can also play all the lotteries you want and just buy all the lottery tickets, because at some point you might win one. But is it the best way to invest your time and energy? Not sure. So I've just been dumping social media as much as possible, and I love doing these videos, so that's what I've still been doing. Of course, I have been, you might have noticed that I had no clones or other explosions happening. I've been dimming down all that work into the videos because I just wasn't feeling up for it. I don't mind chatting to you guys, but all the extra work was a little bit too much for me. So it will come back again. But yeah, I've been pretty much saying no to a lot of things. We also had Agents of Ooze, another game I was working on with Nathan Haragashi on the Discord. The game was already a bit of a problem and struggling, as we weren't really sure what was happening, where we were going with it. We tried different prototypes, but nothing worked. So of course Nathan had a lot of other stuff happening as well. And I had stuff happening, so we decided to just, I pretty much, I think I was the one deciding, because for me it was just too much. I was struggling with the fact that I had Regulated City going very well. I now had Gauntlet of Power, a game that was very much on track, and this other project that was pretty much just weighing on me because I wasn't sure what to do with it. I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't going anywhere. So I just had to say pause on that one. We're gonna do something together because I really like working with him, but not sure it's gonna be Agents of Ooze or whatever. Just first had to clear my head, and I'm still trying to find space and room for extra stuff again. So yeah, I've been doing a lot less of certain things, and that's pretty much how I've been keeping myself floating on top of all the problems and struggles and mentally draining things that have been happening this year. Why am I telling you this in an Orangepixel video? Because self-employed and being your own boss, like through this door and another door is my bedroom. My office, my company, it's me. It's pretty much me. And that's kind of the thing of being a self-employed solo indie game developer, indie or not, or just game developer, whatever you want. Your work is your work, and everybody who is self-employed, even outside game development, will know that you're making more hours here and there because it's very hard to let go of your job, because if you're not doing it, nobody else is doing it, unless you get to the point where you can hire other people to do it for you and can actually let them do the stuff. It's just hard, and it's been a struggle, but I'm kind of happy that I actually managed to get through all of that. So can't wait for 2024 to start, even though I know already there are going to be some issues and things and mentally draining stuff happening. But I think I'm ready for it. So it's been a weird year. In the end, I'm very happy with the funding for Regulated City, because that saved a lot of headaches for me in the rest of the year. Just getting the right stuff happening at the right time. You can call it luck, but it's also just working for it and pushing for it, and hope it actually happens. So yeah, it's been an interesting year. I keep saying that, and I think I'll wrap up the video here. I think I discussed everything I wanted to discuss. So thanks for watching. Make sure to come hop on the Discord, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll be making more videos in 2024. So see you there. All right, bye.